It's such an extraordinary dueling image today, although one image obviously got a lot more attention. And that is this Republican chaos in the House. And then you see Joe Biden in Kentucky with Mitch McConnell as a result of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that President Biden got passed with Mitch McConnell's support, doing exactly what government is supposed to be doing.
And exactly what he ran on, Lawrence. I mean, I'm old enough to remember, you're old enough to remember when everybody said it's disconnected, he's out of touch, no one cares about this sort of thing, Republicans will never work with Democrats on things. It turns out rebuilding roads and railways, it's not a partisan thing. Democrats would love to own that, but, you know, they don't entirely. It was a bipartisan bill. They got it done. So what people saw today was actually government working. Two old friends who disagree on a lot, but work together to get this done. And that's a pretty big deal, even if it didn't get as much attention as the chaos here in Washington.
And this is a presidency that follows the Trump presidency, in which infrastructure was promised and repromised and repromised, and not one sentence of legislation was ever written about infrastructure in the Trump White House or by the Trump supporters in the House of Representatives or the Senate. They had to get rid of Donald Trump, for one thing, in order to make this happen.
Right. There were a lot of infrastructure weeks, right? So there was a lot of words written in that regard. But you heard Rob Portman say today he's been working on getting this money to rebuild this bridge for 30 years. My husband's from Cincinnati, Lawrence. I've driven over that bridge. It's scary. There's so many cars on it. There's so much traffic. This is something that the people in Ohio and Kentucky are excited about. And people from both parties, governors, senators, all work together to get done. But you're right. This is not just an infrastructure week in a press release, as we saw a lot during the Trump administration. This is actually people and communities seeing government work for them. And that kind of thing is what will improve people's support for Congress, I think, around the country.
And this is one of the most important bridges in the country, linking Kentucky and Ohio. Let's listen to more about what the president said today.
Leader McConnell and I don't agree on everything. In fact, we disagree on a lot of things. But here's what matters. He's a man of his word. When he gives you his word, you can take it to the bank, you can count on it, and he's willing to find common ground to get things done for the country. So thank you, Mitch. Thank you. And that's exactly what we did in the bipartisan infrastructure law, which got done in no small part because of Mitch's leadership. We can work together. We can get things done. We can move the nation forward. We just drop a little bit of our egos and focus on what is needed in the country.
Jen, hard to believe that's happening in the same country with what we saw on the floor of the House of Representatives today.
Agree. And, you know, I think what's important to note here is the president and Mitch McConnell disagree on a lot. A lot. I mean, Merrick Garland would probably be in the Supreme Court right now if it was not for Mitch McConnell. He would be. However, this is what should happen when you can find common ground, when you can find areas where there's mutual benefit in moving forward. I did think, Lawrence, one of the things the president said today that was most interesting and should be alarming to people is when he said the world is watching. The world is watching the chaos that is happening in the House. And what he means by that, and he's so attuned to this, as you know, from working in foreign policy for so long, is that our adversaries around the world are watching this chaos and instability. This is the kind of chaos that Putin and the Kremlin were trying to stir up in 2016. And our friends in Europe and other places around the world are worried about the stability of our democracy. That is what this kind of chaos is stirring, even though there was a positive event in Kentucky today.
You know, Jen, I have to say, you know, when I saw the Biden presidency begin with a 50-50 Senate, my expectation of what was possible realistically was zero. And I listened to the president and I listened to Chuck Schumer on this show telling me what his plan was. And I nodded because I couldn't say, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but I certainly didn't believe that was what was going to happen, that they were going to achieve all that. So I learned a lot in watching Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer manage that 50-50 Senate. Now, Joe Biden's going to have to teach us something else that I don't know. I don't have any idea how to handle. And that is what will be, no matter how it's formulated, no matter who the speaker is, the most extremist Republican House of Representatives we have ever seen. We've
Yes.
never seen anything like it. And now Joe Biden has to deal with it as the House of Representatives he's stuck with over the next 2 years. You tell me, do they have a plan in the White House to deal with this House of Representatives?
Well, they've seen this coming for a while, Lawrence, and I've talked to them about this, and they have been planning for a House of Representatives full of insurrectionists, or many, election deniers, definitely a lot of them, who wanted to spend their time leading the House impeaching and investigating. So they have been thinking about and planning for that. What is true right now, perhaps ironically, I guess, since they've had time to think about it, is that because there's no Speaker of the House, there's no Congress. That is alarming, but it also means there's no investigating and no impeaching. So, yes, they've been planning for it. They've been thinking about it. But I don't think they predicted how chaotic and disorganized and unprepared the House Republicans have looked over the last couple of days.
Well, this is the beginning. We'll see. We'll see where they go from here in the House.
Just to be, I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
And more alarming things, I think, Lawrence, that this could result in. I mean, the fact that they can't even yet vote on a speaker means they're not on track to raise the debt limit.
Right.
They're probably not on track to keep government open. So those are things that functioning Congresses of many different parties, and you were talking about this earlier in your show, with very smart leaders from both parties have effectively done. And this Republican Congress has not shown any ability to do the simplest thing. So that is the alarming part, even if they're not impeaching and investigating quite yet.